podcast. Of course, we apologize for being late, but Robert the Diva, better late than never. I love you, brother. Today, we are joined by Mike of Condemned Labs. First time to the show. We're excited to have you. Mike, how are you, buddy?
Everything is going great, man. Sean, thank you for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. I know there's some things you want to get off your chest, and obviously you guys are well-known supplement brand owners, and analyze the industry and whatnot. But for Mike, for people that might not know the brand, give us a quick synopsis. You guys are 10 years old. Like, what's the story?
Yeah, I mean, I've been operating Condemn Labs for about a decade now. We started out of a Brooklyn basement apartment, small startup, just kind of just grinding. I owned the supplement store from 2011 to 2015 before exiting to Natural Body. So I sold to Natural Body. I owned Aggressive Nutrition with my partner Dominic. Shout out to him. And it got me into the supplement game. I was competing actively 2007 to 2016, going pretty hard. Type 1 diabetic bodybuilder, very known for conditioning. And, I just, at some point when I was in my store, there was a big online boom going on. And I was like, okay, I don't know how much longer I can compete with these online guys because there was no map pricing or control at the time. And I said, you know what? I was looking at the formulas. Everything was locked up in proprietary blends. And I said, I think I can do this better. I was very in tune with the ingredients at the time. Diabetic, I was taking a lot of standalone stuff, mixing and matching. And that was it. I dove in after that. And then, here we are 10 years later.
So, Mike, when you first launched, were you part of the prop blend? Going back 10 years, prop blends were more accepted back then.
Which one? Oh, the prop
blends.
So my very first formula was a proprietary blend, the very first version of Convict for a very short period of time. And we spent so much time nailing down the stimulant blend that I'm like, I didn't want to give this up because I knew it was going to happen. And then, I'm sure we'll get into this later on, but, lo and behold, as soon as I just made transparent labels, which was only a couple months later, that's when the copycat stuff started right away, having people knock off the product. So it had its purpose back then, I understand. But I think, the reason why we were using it was more to hide from other competitors versus some of the big companies hiding what they actually have in the formulas,
Is there a need nowadays, and Robert, I'll ask you and to Mike, I mean, is there really a need for prop blends nowadays? Is there any plausible excuse that a company can use for prop blends?
I personally think, okay, so I can play devil's advocate here. I do believe that you should let your people know how much caffeine you have in the product. But if you have a stimulant blend that you really like and you want to lock that up, or if you have a nootropic formula that you think is super smooth and hits, if you wanted to kind of camouflage those little sectors in your formula, maybe to protect yourself, I can see it. But it's hard now. Everybody wants the transparent labels, which I totally get. But I also understand from the brand perspective now, once you put it out there, you got guys that don't belong in the space that just pick it up now. And they're like, I'm going to add an extra gram here, 5 grams here. This is good. I like this.
Yeah.
And they think they're just going to pixie dust a little bit on top. And they got their own formula now. And they don't know anything about the industry. They're just here for the monetary value.
Robert, comment?
You know what? Before Mike answered, I wanted to say a hard no. But I'm a type of person I always use common sense, and if I will agree with somebody or the way he explains it, I will agree with him. And I think actually I'll agree with Mike on this one because, look, um, you and I talk a lot about Masha, and right now Masha is the rising star of the industry, and rightfully so, because what she does in terms of flavors, already here at least 2 or 3 brands that would like to hire her to do flavors. And again, and the reason is because, listen, I've tried some of her food, right, or some of her pastries, and it's pastries or food that I've tried obviously elsewhere, but hers tastes better.
Yep.
So I'm sure that there is a secret to that recipe that she probably doesn't want to give away. So Mike is right. There is probably there is a combination of certain stimulants, dosages and stuff like that do work. So I would actually agree, and I would probably do it. And I've done a prop blend for fun once, and then I revealed what the formula is, and it worked. The only issue is when it comes to somebody like me or somebody like Mike who does make a transparent formulas, and these formulas are genuinely good, and he knows. We talk a lot actually online, and He knows that I respect his formulas. I actually said that the DMHA based product, the only one that I personally approve, is his product. So he knows I'm not kissing ass, but and everybody knows I don't even know how to do it. If I think something is shit, something is shit. But he does make the best DMHA product on the market, bar none. So here's a plug for Condemned Labs, but it's absolutely true, and I give credit where credit due. But the truth is that yes, there is a formula that you can. Um, that you can do that will be very, very unique. The only downside to it is these days, if you put something in a prop blend, it's automatically regarded as shit. So that's the only issue with that. So it's very, very hard to do. I would love to do a prop blend that would be a legit good, and people that know me, they know that I would not, cut corners or anything like that. But still, I will be called out, and I will still be, even when I released prop blend as a joke, I was called out. Even though I said it's a joke, and
Yep.
I'll reveal the formula later on. But yeah, I mean, I would not object to prop blend if the prop blend initially were not done by, I would say, 99% of the companies in the industry to cut corners and to make shit products and to justify those products. So that's the only issue. But other than that, like I said, there is. Listen, let's be honest, and I think Mark will support me on this. There are a shitload of companies making transparent labs that I wish they would put it in the prop blend because the products are fucking garbage.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
agree.
it's true though, Rob. So it's the fine line of yes, people that have the prop blends that are shitty. Sometimes they come back to me and say, "Well, Heinz ketchup does not release their profile, their secret sauce. Why should I release it?" And I'm like, let's face it. There's prop blends out there that it's the first three ingredients are beta alanine, creatine, and maybe tyrosine, and the whole blend is like 3.5 grams.
Listen, but there are products out there that have a prop blend, say, of 5 or 6 grams, and when you see in that prop blend, you see something like citrulline and beta-alanine and
Yep.
taurine and betaine. All those ingredients they usually come in thousands of milligrams, thousands. So
Yep.
it just doesn't add up. So it's shit, And if there is caffeine and alpha yo featured somewhere in there, then you know that there is probably like fucking 3 or 4 grams of alpha yo and probably like 500 or 600 milligram of caffeine. Of course you're gonna feel it. Of
Yep.
course, I mean that's going to be a very powerful thing that's going to fucking wake you up if you're dead. But is it a good product? That's another thing. I'm not an alcohol drinker. I don't drink alcohol. I don't understand anything about alcohol. But I know there is cheap whiskey and there is expensive whiskey. Guess what? They
Yep.
both will get you drunk.
Yeah. Exactly. So, Mike, let's address the elephant here that's been going on the last couple of weeks here. And I mean, I want to have this open forum here. I don't want to dig up old shit again, but I know there was I would say exodus, but I know there's a little bit of movement between your athletes and whatnot. Do you want to kind of address this and finally put it to bed once and for all?
Yeah. I gotta take a breath before and choose my words wisely here because
Hey, we're not PG here, brother.
no, it's good. Things have calmed down a little bit. I got things moving in the right direction now. So I would say the beginning of the year, January, we said, you know what, we're gonna go back and try to take this bodybuilding thing over. People aren't doing it. They're not really doing right. I came up on the bodybuilding scene. The brand's always been a bodybuilding, I would say a bodybuilding brand. It's just too hardcore. I painted myself into a corner a long time ago, and it's very hard to go from a hardcore brand to like you can only dilute it so much before people think you're selling out, but the industry is changing, like we spoke about, Sean. It's changing at a rapid rate. 10 years ago and 5 years later, I'm going to call it CBUM era. You saw a huge shift in like the aesthetic, the things that people were going for.
Yep.
And then 5 years from that, now you're seeing another transition here where things are going in a couple of different directions. So I was like, you know what, let's try to bring this thing back in house. Let's do it all together. We put a tremendous amount of money and effort in. We signed a bunch of professional bodybuilders again. Been down this road before in the past. The response was not good. It was a financial scolding on my behalf. It was a learning experience. At the end of the day, I'm not blaming anybody and pointing fingers, but the problem I had was the group of guys that were there. They were costing me money. The energy wasn't there. Right? There was just like there was no effort. There was this
Yep.
constant. Just the promotion wasn't there, and I really, it was disappointing. I was doing team building events, getting them together. I was spending a tremendous amount of money on content. Now these guys weren't in major salaries. I wasn't giving them 5-10 grand a month, right? But they were getting hefty commissions, which weren't being utilized anyway. They were getting salaries. They were getting paid to post. And I spent a lot of money on clothing. I started shifting the brand a little bit, changing the identity and the look of the brand to accommodate this group. And I was like really trying to make a run for it. And then I don't know what happened, but they started to band together because, I had a conversation with one of the guys. He was going to break free. Nice kid, potential in the sport, if that even matters anymore, bright future. And I always wish him well. We had a good conversation. The conversation left the phone from a 45-minute phone call to a post on social media that was very different than the phone call we had. And I'm like, I didn't say anything. I put my tail between my legs. I might have walked around my house talking to myself for a little bit. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this is his way of doing things. I'm going to just leave it as is. A couple of days, about a week later after that, he gets on the podcast with my other athlete. And then just talking about how the brand doesn't align with bodybuilding. And, we're going in two separate directions. And I'm like, oh, hold the fuck on 1 second here, dude. Oh, hold on. I text him. I said, dude, I'm not liking the conversation, bro. I'm like, you weren't getting any sales. You wanted more money. You wanted to go with another company because you wanted more money. You knew the performance wasn't there. I wasn't going to give it to you. It was a very hard question to ask. If you're bringing home a failed report card before Christmas, the tree's going to look a little light this year. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, with that being said, I was being super cool about it. And I sat on this for like weeks, weeks. And then I'm looking at the podcast while he's on the podcast and he's talking to my other athlete is on that podcast. The kid just won the 212 New York Pro, So I'm like, and he's talking about how Condemned is not a bodybuilding brand and the brand's going in a different direction. So I'm like, well, I guess Mike Condell's leaving. I guess he's gone. And then right after, he was packed up and gone. So they kind of powwow together and they kind of brought the circus with them. So basically the 6 months, I spent a lot of money on promoting them, building their platforms, trying to get them maximum exposure, giving the brand a different look, a different identity, changing up some of the products. And I felt like, dude, if you're going to leave and it's about a money thing, okay, I've had way bigger athletes on the team. I've had way bigger athletes. I've had Jordan Hutchinson. I've had Nick Walker. These guys were with me for years with an S. Nobody's been with me for 1 to 2 years. But unfortunately, the guys that see the brand for face value on the outside looking in, they think the brand is bigger than it is now. And they kind of come there with the like, what's in it for me? They want to get what they can get out of it. And sometimes they run up the well dry. And the industry is changing now. It's changing. Yeah. It's not the same. And it's probably the worst performance I've had. The page, Condemned's page, is not a tremendous, following. It's about 50,000 followers on there, all organic from all the people we bought over the year. We don't buy followers. We don't get a tremendous amount of engagement. I get more on my page sometimes than the Condemned, but Condemned does have a good, loyal following on there. We get somewhere over 1 million views a month, which is nothing crazy. But with these guys over the 6 months and me paying for all this videography work, I saw the writing on the wall. The views were going down. The engagement was just completely disconnected. And I was like, is this a brand issue? Am I going out of business? Is this not working anymore? Like, I'm 10 years old. Do I have to what do I got to do here? And I started to question everything I was doing. And then that situation was good for me, though. I needed a villain. I needed to get out of that situation. They gave me they went back. I just didn't like how they bashed the brand. Some of these guys were posting my messages when I was going at them because I finally broke. After the other kid left, what happened was I found out they were trying to pull other kids off the team and take everybody with them. And I'm like, dude, I just spent a lot of money. I just, I invested in you guys, which to me is the biggest form of flattery. Sean, you don't got a big following. I'm going to put my arm around you. I'm going to put a videographer on you on retainer and get you X amount of content a month. Dude, that's money out of my pocket, food off my table. I'm investing in you so that you can grow, you can win. If you win, hopefully in the shadow, I get a little something out of it, right? That's the exchange. These guys don't understand business. They don't understand. There's no ethics anymore. There's no respect anymore. There's no brand loyalty anymore. Athlete turnover is at an all-time high. And it was just, honestly, I was fucking offended. I was upset. I was mad. But when they try to pull the business away like they're going to stick it to me out the door, dude, I got 3 kids. My fucking mortgage is through the roof. I got a wife, that's about to take off of her bank job. I'm like, you know what, dude? Brooklyn's coming at me right now, and they're poking the fucking lion. And I'm like, these kids, they're not built like that. I'll tell you, they're not built like that. Even the way they train. Rob, you got a hardcore gym. These kids don't do free weights no more, bro. My athlete advisor, I swear to God, I'll knock them a little bit because I don't give a fuck. When I see them, it's on. Some of them, they could get it because I don't like what they did. But, I was watching a YouTube video for 15 minutes from one of my athletes. I nodded off twice, bro. And I watched them to grade them before they go out so I can give constructive feedback. Bro, where's the fucking barbell? Where's the fucking dumbbell? Nobody touches. You guys are pro bodybuilders. You don't want to touch fucking free weights anymore? Scared of getting fucking injured? Dude, I trained with Oscar Arden in a basement gym. I trained with Thackeray. I know he's getting some heat right now on social media, but when he was in his prime, like 2008, when he grabbed me and I was training with Desmond Miller, I was able to go to these gyms and see what it was really about and say, oh shit, this is what I was missing, and like,
Yeah.
that's what my brand was built upon. And I mean, Rob, you got a hardcore gym, so you probably seeks that shit more. Dude, the gyms are influencer gyms now. Blacked out, hexagon lighting, mirrors everywhere, tripod. The fucking landscape is changing, dude. So I realized these guys, man, they're like Gen Z bodybuilders. And I was looking to take them onto my brand. And it really, I don't want to talk too much shit about them because I respect them. They're all good men. I don't like the way they did things. Some of them started messaging my girl on social media. They crossed some lines. And I mentioned the Brooklyn thing, and they're like, oh, you think you're from Brooklyn, you're tough. No, motherfucker. When you're raised in a certain environment where somebody will there's checks and balances, you just don't go around doing whatever the fuck you want. If I would have did that around the old heads, I would have got my ass handed to me. And like, it's no different now. So like, these kids are messaging my girl. They're fucking bashing the brand. Like, they're messaging my stores telling me to remove the product. Now I got guns blazing, dude. I'm like, okay, it's on. Like, it's them or me. And I don't really think they stand the chance. They're just, a lot of these guys just look big, but they're really not. They're really not about it,
Yeah. So, Robert, so to ask you, not to answer if you want to comment, but obviously you're in the gym. Are people doing squats and deadlifts like they used to back in the day? Or in general, do you feel like the heavier lifts have gone down a little bit?
You know what? I mean, there is a term training and there is training, and they the same word, but some people interpret it differently.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, unfortunately, I said recently that Apollon Gym is no longer a hardcore gym. It's a legacy gym. But the thing is that, and I always hate it, and I hate myself for saying it, because that automatically makes you feel old.
You
It's
are.
true,
You are.
but when people say back in my day, and I am that guy
Yeah.
because I'm saying back in my day. And I remember when I walked into a palm, I mean, people were bleeding, throwing up. I mean, it was just, the intensity was through the roof. I was never a power lifter. I was never really a bodybuilder either. I mean, I kind of like followed the lifestyle, so to speak, but I was never a bodybuilder. I never competed. I was never a super strong guy either in terms of powerlifting. But the fact that those guys trained around me, that motivated me. That felt good. And right now, yeah, we will take selfies here and there. I'm not against it. Like, listen, I'm okay. Take a selfie, do a video, post something. I only understand we live in a social media day and age, but right now, I think that's the emphasis, not the training. It was the training that was the emphasis. Right now, it's the social media, and any Joe Schmo today can achieve something. And I always, and I say it again and again. English is not my first language, but I think I speak pretty good English. So I think my English is definitely on a good level. But I think the word influencer is definitely misinterpreted. I don't think that Americans and people in general understand what that word means.
Yeah.
Because the word influencer means you can influence me to do something, that you can influence me to buy something, and I have to respect you. I have to look up to you. You have to have some sort of achievement or something where I want to do stuff that you do or buy something because of you. I just do not understand the mentality. Why would somebody with no education, clearly very low IQ, probably doesn't even know what country or where is Moldova because he doesn't know anything about geography or history or anything like that? How that person can educate, how can mean influence me? If the person achieved absolutely nothing in life, didn't win any contests, didn't compete in no competition, doesn't know, have never tasted really the victory or defeat, how that person can influence me based on what? On looks, on muscles? Well, I've seen bigger muscles. Looks, I've seen better looking people. I mean, I see a lot of pimples on their backs. I see a lot of fucking, hair loss at the age of fucking 25. I mean, I see a lot of shit that I don't want to see, and yet those people have tremendous following, which is, and it's not jealousy. I'm just very surprised at how people can perceive that as an influence. Because to me, influence is somebody who achieves something, that you want to look up
Yeah.
to that person. And in terms of training, we used to train to a point of like fucking passing out. We used to push ourselves. Not all of us. I mean, there were pussies back in the day too. But unfortunately, the ratio today has shifted because you have more pussies. And even Apollon Gym, you walk into it. I like the fact that I see so many women train at Apollon. I like the diversity. I like the fact that there are older people and younger crowd. So that I welcome with open arms. And not everybody has to fucking puke, and not everybody has to kill himself. But I would expect that, I mean, today some people don't even know who the fuck. I mean, I'm not gonna go as far as Schwarzenegger or Ronnie, but let's take somewhere in between. Like I don't know, who would be a good example? Jean-Pierre Fuchs. I mean, that was a fucking incredible bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't win the Olympia, but most people, when you say his name, they don't know who the fuck he is. And today, even without naming any names, legendary bodybuilders fucking make clowns out of themselves just to be relevant. They fucking saying the stupidest shit on the internet just to get an attention. They fucking start, they don't even know how to reinvent, how to come up with something new. So they literally come up with the dumbest shit. And even Mike just mentioned about fuckery. Okay, so fuckery posted something dumb. I saw it. He posted like a really stupid fucking post. But now I see all these influencers and people that want any, just to seem relevant.
Yep.
They fucking cashing on that, and they like fucking tearing him to shit. I'm like, I've said stupid shit. Mike has said stupid shit. Sean says stupid shit on a daily basis, and apparently he has a G spot,
Yeah.
you know. But but in all honesty, I mean, we all seen and done some dumb shit, and now there is like fucking. I can't even go on Instagram. Everybody's talking about fuckery. Like why? And then you see all these comments. I'm like, let it go. He didn't do anything bad. He said something dumb, so he lied. Who hasn't lied? I lied. Mike
Yeah.
lied. You lied. We all lied. We also did something shitty, something stupid. It's like people that cheat on their taxes. Everybody cheats on their taxes, except some people get caught and some people don't. But fucking let it go. I mean, it's just it's incredibly stupid how far have things gone, and something that doesn't even make any sense all of a sudden is norm. And in terms of what Mike said, bodybuilding brand or not bodybuilding brand, it's a fucking good brand. It has, good supplements. And who says that you have to cater to bodybuilders? Guy Cisternino once walked to Apollon Gym and he says, when I look at your labels, I don't see it as a bodybuilding brand. I'm like, the fuck you talking about? What do you want to see on that? You want to see fucking me with 24-inch biceps? I don't have any. I just don't. You think that because of that, my product is not going to be purchased by a female or somebody in his 50s or 60s or 70s and they cannot benefit from purchasing my product? You think that when I formulate something, I formulated for Phil Heath? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
We're making products for athletes, for athletic performance, but we're also making something, supplements for somebody to be better. And you can be better at 80 or 20. It doesn't really matter. So we don't
Yep.
have to be a bodybuilding brand. Jeff Long, he makes bodybuilding brand. He only targets bodybuilders. That's his community. Like a pro bodybuilder. He makes products for bodybuilders. And what I do respect about him is the fact that he makes products that he would personally use. So he has, a small brand that he built himself and he caters to that community and he emphasizes that that's what he wants and he makes products that he would take as a bodybuilder. Again, nothing wrong with it. And we make products, I make products that sometimes one of my products is going to be, directed at fighters or people that want to improve the endurance. But for example, something like protein, anyone can take that. Fat burner, what do you think only athletes want to fucking get in shape?
Yep.
I mean, majority of people want to get leaner. Mike is a fucking diabetic.
Yep.
He wants to be better too. So he makes products that he can use as himself, but he makes products for other people too to get better, not necessarily to get jacked. Because let's be honest, you're not gonna fucking look like a pro bodybuilder taking my products or his products. They're not that great. I mean that's just a fact. And you need some other products for that. So I mean, taking my protein or taking my pre-workout, it's not gonna make you look like Jay Cutler. I mean, Jay Cutler can take his product and he's not gonna look like Jay Cutler. It's a
Yeah,
fact.
yeah, I agree.
So, Mike, your I'm going to say your products are edgy looking. Okay, it's like, what is your target audience, or do you really have a target audience?
Yeah, I mean, initially, I mean, the whole condemned theme, right, was never about jail or anything along those lines. We kind of came up on the scene 10 years ago. There was a lot of Dungeons and Dragons stuff popping off, right? Like
Yep.
the labels were a little bit more colorful. They were a little bit more animated, a little bit more war emphasis, like, war on the weights and type of thing. So the Condemn Labs theme was always about the punishing aspect we go through as bodybuilders, right? So like you're breaking muscle down to build it back up. You're taking gear. You're calculating your macros. You're drinking a gallon jug of water. Like you're literally tearing muscle fibers down to build them back up. It's not a pretty process, right? So there's this punishing aspect. When I was training for my shows, it was very repetitive and redundant, and I would feel like that I was going to the gym like every day was Groundhog Day, right? And you're doing this punishing aspect to come out transformed. And like comparatively to like prison sentence, like you're going to do a jail sentence so that you're going to come out transformed, right? So there
Right.
was a parallels that we were kind of running with, plus something about the weights, like slamming metal, in these basement gyms and stuff that I was training in down in Brooklyn and stuff like that. Just was like it was just a different time for me. I'm obviously not in that same spot now, but I can remember it like it was yesterday. And so the brand was initially designed for that audience, right? And then anybody could use it, right? If you're making the best products for people that really need it, like if they really need it, like people that are going on stage to compete and throw themselves out there to show off and like that are relying on some of these things for recovery, it'll be good for anybody else. At the time, 10 years ago, there was a lot of things that were just sprinkled in dust, like I said, in proprietary blends. And I saw all those marketing gimmicks. I learned all those marketing gimmicks early. I was sponsored by Muscle Tech in 2009.
Wow.
I was yeah. They flew me out to Canada. I did photo shoots for Hydroxycut. I was Shred's first bodybuilding athlete. When before they took over the whole scene, Arvin was coming to my house eating bison and filming me super late at night, cranking on videos. So like I was just it was about the dark place that we put ourselves in to just come out, just to lose yourself into that dark moment, lifting the weights, giving it all, leaving it on the line. And the brand was for that person. So it was, at the time, it was an over-engineered airplane. And if, somebody, wanted to take half of a serving, they could take half of a serving. But the products were always like the core value of what I think the fundamentals of what people need in order to be successful.
Okay. So here's a question for both of you that came in. So, in a market where people are building absurd tolerances, okay, how do you guys formulate for that first scoop feeling every time without truly relying on caffeine? Because a lot of today's people, they look at the caffeine. Like Robert, we talk about this all the time. It's, well, how much caffeine is it? Well, it really should be, what's the overall ingredient package?
Yeah,
Mike, you want to go first?
I mean, yeah, you go first, Rob. Yeah.
You know what the thing is like everybody knows caffeine is a stimulant. That's it. Some people can tolerate 100 milligrams. Some people can tolerate 1,000 milligram. You have to pick pre-workout that works for you. I don't think you should be picking it only based on caffeine because there's obviously other ingredients. Otherwise, you can just take fucking caffeine pill. So you pick the pre-workout. Thankfully today we have lots and lots of pre-workouts on the market that can cater pretty much to everybody. And but you can give me the best, the strongest pre-workout on the market, whatever it is. I can take it today, and probably going to be flying. I'll take it tomorrow. I'll be flying day after day after
Yep.
day. But the truth is, sooner or later, my body will get used to it. I mean, the tolerance is just, it's going to be this. I'll be able to tolerate it. It's not going to be as powerful and effective. So what do you do? Do you do, more caffeine and more because the sky is the limit then, and sooner or later you're going to get fucked up. I mean, that's the only way of, describing it. But the same thing with steroids. It's exactly the same. You can do a cycle of 500 milligram of test and I don't know 400 milligram of DECA, and you're going to get certain results. Where do you go from there? You're going to increase the dosages again and again and again and again and again. I mean, that's definitely a dangerous game to play. So what do? You cycle it. That's the reason why it's called a cycle. You cycle
Yep.
it. You go up, you go down. You change up your diet. You change up your training. You get better and better and better. Not necessarily by constantly increasing dosages, and not by constantly increasing stimulants. So I think that the best pre-workout on the market, unless it's fucking non-stim, but the best pre-workout on the market that has stims in it, don't fucking use it all the time. Cycle
Yeah.
it. If it's your favorite pre-workout, there is no way in hell some of the pre-workouts that we make and some of the pre-workouts that Michael makes. I mean, I'm pretty sure that both of us want you to use the pre-workout on a daily basis so you can buy a new tub as soon as possible. But the reality is you're gonna get fucked up. Even on some, oh, not necessarily fucked up. I mean, your body will be, you will not feel it. Your body will get used to it. You're just not gonna feel the effects, at least not of stimulants. The pump is gonna be there, depends on the formula. The focus is probably gonna be there, but the energy, the stims, I mean, you're gonna get fucking, you'll get used to it. So the best way, in my opinion, is either change up the pre-workouts, have two or three or four in your arsenal that you can change them accordingly. Or if you have just one, which I don't think you should be, then don't use it every day. Make sure you cycle it just like everything else.
Yeah. Mike, comment or?
Yeah, I mean, I think I like what Robert said there, cycling, or maybe like, obviously the big days, right? It's going to be legs, it's going to be back, it's going to be chest.
Yeah.
Maybe on these days you're using this, on, the other days you're using something a little bit more mild where you're focusing a little bit more on pump. Smaller muscles sometimes require more volume to, you know what I'm saying? Versus the bigger muscles. But I mean, I think the way to formulate a pre-workout is by trying to hit them in 2026, 2027, and just more currently is like just not overloading it with a tremendous amount of caffeine and thinking that's going to be the miracle. It's maybe we're touching them on different sensory levels, right? Maybe there is a little beta alanine there. It's going to give them a tingly feeling. Maybe there is a nootropic in there that's going to give them a little bit more of a cognitive feeling. Maybe there's something else that's going to create a euphoric mood enhancement. So now you're like, I'm going to the gym. I got the energy I need. I feel good. And then sometimes even being dialed in, you get a better muscle-mind connection, which translates to a better pump. Obviously, we're talking about stimulants because both of our brands are a little bit more on the hardcore edgy, but these formulas are also loaded with pump products as well. So that stuff needs to be in the base. As I'm getting older, I had a weird experience with caffeine not too long ago, probably exactly almost a year ago to the day, where I thought I was having a heart attack. I was just running myself to the ground, working too much, drinking God knows how many sugar-free monsters in the day, getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, going to the gym, closing the night down at 11 o'clock. And my body at 41 years old, it hit the rev limiter. And I thought I was having a heart attack. So I had to just pull back the brakes on everything, did extensive testing, started to look at my stress, started to look at everything else and say, okay, I got to pull some of these things out. And one of the first things I did was pull my caffeine intake now. So I was drinking probably I would say about 600 milligrams a day, which might be light to some people. But, I was drinking about 600 milligrams a day. And unhealthily, I wasn't drinking enough water. I wasn't eating enough. And just the stress. So I can tell you this now, from cleansing my body of caffeine for 6-7 months, like the bum energy is like 112 milligrams of caffeine. Like, dude, I have to drink like a third of that can or half of that can. And the caffeine, it just gets my ears buzzing. It can set off my nervous system. So it's crazy. I went from drinking 600 milligrams a day, being able to go to sleep, to like having a super hyper sensitivity. So like I see the power of it now, but like I was abusing it. And if you go to the grocery store early in the morning, these kids aren't buying coffee. Buy 3, get 1 free, buy 2, get 1 free. Ghost, this, that. These kids are sucking down energy drinks left and right. I mean, eventually you beat up your adrenal receptors and the feeling is not there the same. So I mean, I think like if you can handle a moderate base of caffeine, and then you have some nootropics in there, you have a couple of other things that are making you like lifting your mood up and getting you dialed in and focused, I think that's the way to go. Maybe even having a caffeine blend with like slow release, medium release.
Yep.
I don't think it has to be 1,000. Some of these formulas 700 milligrams and a hydros. I look at that stuff from a liability perspective now. When I was young and dumb, I would just kind of just throw it down. But these kids, man, some of them don't look at the thing. They're banging 2 scoops, dry scooping it. I don't want anybody to get hurt anymore. And at some point, we have to admit, give me the highest dosage of caffeine you've ever taken. What can it do more for you than it can do? Like, what more can you get out of it? It's not, next thing you know, you're going to be ripping lines in a bathroom stall before you go, hit the weights or something. Like, you can't get any more from that. So at some point, all that excess is just doing some sort of harm, some way, or shape or form. And I should I be saying that as a hardcore supplement brand that that I think caters to a more stim junkie base? Probably not, but it's the truth. So cycling them on and off, picking and choosing the ingredients and stuff like that, and just trying to get a thing that I. One thing about my formulas has always been balance. Like we try to make the formula, we want it to be good, but we also want it to be balanced. We don't want it to
Yep.
be heavy in one direction. And that's one thing that I think we've been really successful with and why we had the longevity with some of the SKUs that we've had over the last, decade. But the balance is huge to me when I'm in the R&D process. My guys don't really care for my back and forth, but I've given my manufacturers, millions of dollars, and I got to get it right before I get it out there. And I don't want to give people something that just thrown together where a lot of these other guys in the market that are new to the formulation and copycatting, transparent labels that they see, I don't think they're thinking of it like that.
So, Mike, I asked Robic this last podcast. I'll ask you this because some of your formulas are robust. When do you know when to stop? When you hit that eighth ingredient, ninth ingredient, when do you know, okay, it's perfect? Like from an ingredient standpoint, number of ingredients.
Good question. Good question. So I'm changing. I'm getting more mature as I go older. You used to throw the book at the formulas, and Robic does throw the book at the formulas. God bless him. His formulas, dude, there's one thing you can't take away from the brand. He overloads, right? So I'm in my old age now. I'm becoming a less is more guy, trying to find the things that really hit. I don't jump on the hype trains either right away. If an
Yep.
ingredient comes out and it's got this behind it, just because it's a trademarked ingredient and there's studies behind it and stuff like that, and everybody's diving on it, like I kind of I'll play around with it. I reach out to the manufacturers myself, the trademark holders. They'll send you samples pretty free. For the most part, you try them, experiment with yourself, but I still do R&D. I'm not as deep into the ingredient side as I used to be. When I came up in the supplement store and I was really mixing and matching, I was heavily into it. Now I got a couple of nerds that are on my side that really look over things with me, and they'll give me some advice and consulting. Every once in a while I'll bro science it up. Maybe I'll put something in there that might conflict. This is a beta 2 antagonist. I'm like, okay, all right, I'll take it out. But I got the ideas and I have the overall spectrum of kind of
Yep.
what I want to do, and I have like the meat and potatoes, and I'll let them find like some of the newer ingredients and bring it to market. But I think I do believe less is more, because some of the proven things are still the proven things, right? They're going to be the proven things all the time. Like, just because it's got this molecule attached to it, or it's got this thing that's going to help be a vehicle to drive it into the bloodstream or cross the blood-brain barrier faster, doesn't, the meat and potatoes is going to be the meat and potatoes of what it's going to do.
Sure.
I try to be in the sweet spot somewhere between, maybe 5 and 8 ingredients in there, and each thing has its own little section. I always look at what we're trying to do, right? If we're trying to go to the gym, is it a pre-workout? Are we going for the pump? Are we going for the focus? Are we going for the energy? Are we going for the hydration? So I always try to find that balance of what the formula is trying to do and kind of get things to play nicely synergistically so that we get that harmony and that balance. And then obviously there's a back and forth and dialing some things in just to make sure it's complete. And then I beta test it on my guys. I'll get stuff out to some of my guys that can articulate, guys that have brains, not guys that just pound it and like, bro, I was sweating on it. I'm looking for like, hey, I look for really detailed feedback.
And Robic's got the best survey in the gym because he comes out with something. He grabs six customers walking in and says, "Here you go. What do you guys think?"
Oh, forget about it. I can imagine. I mean, I would use them as guinea pigs.
So, Robic, someone asked talking about ingredients here a minute ago. You use Creosol in the Crea Smash. What made you make that bet? Because not a lot of people are using that, or doesn't seem to be using it.
Well, it's because it's a very, very new ingredient. I mean, it literally came on the market in 2025. And I think, other than me, there's like maybe one or two brands that are using it. Um, and I actually, believe it or not, I picked it up from Price Plow. So they work with the ingredient house, and they sent me some literature on it. And we also I had Robert Chinesky look into it in terms of how it supports creatine. And I even had Ron Kramer have a look at it, because he was very, very tough to please, because obviously it was in a Korea smash, and we have the creatine nitrate in it. And we liked what we saw. I mean, I actually encourage everyone to look into that ingredient. It does help with the creatine absorption. It does work great with creatine. It definitely complements each other. beautifully. Is it one of those ingredients, like Mike said, that is a cutting edge in terms of like, new super innovation or anything like that? Probably not. Because the thing is like if you look into anything these days, some of the newer ingredients are better. Some of the newer ingredients are absolute shit.
Yep.
But the main thing is that we really didn't have anything groundbreaking in God knows how long. The basics still work. I mean, you can get away. Combining creatine and creatine, or combining creatine and HMB. Is it better? Is there any evidence that it works? Yes, there is. But let's be honest, especially on somebody who's using performance enhancing or something like that, do you think that that's, you know, it's going to
Yeah.
enhance you to such extent? Creatine, for example, we know that the benefits are far beyond, just performance. Right now it's proven that it works, for cognitive function. It's great for women, even pregnant women.
Yep.
So the bottom line is basics do work. But to quote Shane, what he likes to say, if it can help 5%, then great.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's going to come down to cost. We have, and I use this analogy a lot, Kia and Mercedes. They both great cars. I mean, Kia will get you to the same place just like Mercedes, and probably in the same amount.
Yep. Oh well. So as Robic jumps back in, Robic's been very verbal that he will not use S7.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any ingredients, Mike, that you refuse to use in any of your any of your products?
Well, we used S7 in DNA dispatch. It was a nitric oxide, and we were maxed
Okay.
out on capsules. So it was like, you know what? When it first came out, we were like, you know what? It's not gonna hurt the product, right? So, and I could back that. Yeah, what happened, Rob? Your phone died.
No, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it pretty much was done. Just I had a phone call that I had to disconnect.
Oh no, that's okay. Yeah, so basically, we used S7 in DNA dispatch when we launched it. It came out. We were maxed out on capsules. The formula came out. They boosted all these studies of it's 300% this, 300% that. I'm like, you know what? It's 50 milligrams, I believe. I can't remember. It was like 50 milligrams. I'm like, it's not going to dump me over. I already had the 6 capsule nitric oxide, right? So I
Yep.
was like, we'll throw it in there. Fast forward now, we're taking it out. Obviously, I don't know about 300% nitric oxide. So like we're taking it out now. We're reformulating DNA dispatch and stuff like that. So I try not to jump on those hype trains when they come out. A lot of these trademark holders, I thought years ago when they all started like coming around and they were just like repackaging old ingredients and marketing them
Yep.
again to the customer. I said, this will never be like buying a Louis Vuitton handbag or a Chanel. Now, people do know some of the trademarked ingredients. They've done a great job, some of the trademark holders, at bringing awareness to them. They get to the review channels, they talk about them. Are they great? There's great marketing behind them, right? There's great marketing.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I'm willing to use some of that stuff now. As far as like, so back to your question, overutilized right now, I think protein in the space being interjected in everything is becoming completely wild to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not talking about like a trademarked ingredient. I don't want to bash an individual brand. Just the overall arching theme of like thinking that people are so weak that you have to pair protein inside of
Fucking Pop Tart.
inside of, I mean, dude, pretzel. I don't even. I gotta be careful what I say. I got a lot of friends in the industry that own some of these brands, dude. And I'm like, if I'm going to the movie theater, if I'm with my daughter, I'm gonna pick at some popcorn. I'm not worried about my macros. I understand the GLP-1 craze. I understand protein intake's down. I think it's being overutilized in everything right now. It's driving the cost up, possibly for no reason. And then it's in the wrong hands with some of these conglomerate brands that
Yep.
are buying it up to put it in cold foam in Starbucks. And it's taking a hit on the industry, and it's making it so expensive for everybody else. They told me that protein used to be a byproduct of cheese. Now they're making cheese to get the protein, and they're throwing the cheese out because
Crazy.
the demand is flipped the other way. So, but as far as underutilized product, did we go to underutilized?
No, we can since you open it up. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so the underutilized products that I think that's something that people just aren't really hitting home is I love the adaptogens, man. I love mushroom
Yeah.
extracts. Dude, there's a reason why these people Asia live to 100 years old, taking cordyceps mushrooms and, lion's mane. These things go in the body. They transform things in the body, immune support, bronchodilation properties, oxygen uptake. I think they're a slept on thing. Like when I was doing MMA fighting, Robic, I'd be short of breath. I'd be boxing in Duval County over here. There was no air conditioner. Bro, I swear to God, I would take 5,000 milligrams of cordyceps mushrooms. Now, mind you got to be careful because they'll play the same game, with the extract, where it comes from. Fruiting body, beta glucans, right? So if you get yourself a reputable brand that, focuses on the full body of the mushroom and gives you the highest yield of the extract, I can feel my breathing opening up, my oxygen uptake. A lot of people talk about the pump and blood flow. A lot of people don't talk about things like oxygen. Like if you're getting more air, more oxygen, blood's flowing a lot better. Pumps are a lot better. Nutrients are moving. Blood's moving. So there's things like part of when I talk about the balancing act of the formulas, I always think about the beginning, the middle, and the end, right? I could, formulated humuslin and just had berberine in there or, and said, hey, I got a GDA and I put cinnamon bark in there and all these other things. But we always thought about, well, how do we get the carbs out of the stomach faster? Well, we're going to put some digestive enzymes in there. We can't mimic insulin with a product. We're knocking off, a pharmaceutical name to be catchy, of course. But, okay, well, how do I do that? My DNA dispatch, same thing. It was really a nitric oxide, but it's focused on recovery. It's focused on oxygen uptake. It's focused on immune system support as well because, just to cause a little bit more of a cycle, to give you a better pump. Maybe you need this and you need that. And a lot of people, when they formulate, they get stuck on, well, there's no vasodilators in there. Well, it's great. Your bloodstream's opened up. But what if there's no oxygen moving the blood around? You know what I'm saying? So there's other pieces of the pie, even for a pre-workout. For most products, if you really look at it, what am I trying to do here? What do I want to achieve? What do I want to accomplish? Well, how can we make it happen? Because supplements are supplemental to a diet. They're never going to be stronger than PEDs. So what can we do? How can we max this thing out from a supplement perspective to give you that edge? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I'm a big advocate of lion's mane. I love lion's mane tremendously, but Robic, I can't hear you. Robic, I can't. So I absolutely love lion's mane, and I wonder people not use it because they don't know about the properties, or when you put it in a powder, though, let's face it, it is hard to freaking mask.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still can't hear you, Robic. So anyway.
Lion's mane definitely hard to mask. I got another little project I'm working on. It's called Heroic Harvest. It's a psychedelic mushroom line that kind of has it's a psychedelic looking theme, but it's got mushrooms extracted into sports nutrition. Small little project I was doing, and I started to put things in there. And dude, it's the flavoring process is brutal.
I can imagine. All right, so I'm going to call you out of the spot here, Mike.
Sure.
You talked about protein earlier. Are you getting into the fucking protein game at this time in the market?
Yeah, I actually am getting into the protein game. I am taking a risk. I had an option to do a pool in my backyard, for my family, and I decided, you know what? I got too many people. We had protein a couple years ago. We called it commissary protein. If you listen to Conlon in his reviews, he calls it commissionary whey. They missed the whole jail theme. These kids are green as green could be. You know what I'm saying? So you cannot create a protein label and have the label that I had on there and think you're going to attract a wider audience. So I trademarked isoclusion, and I said, you know what? If they keep asking, and I feel like I'm leaving opportunity for people to leave my website, and they are forced to go buy something else because there's one product that we could all say people could take, or let's just say three. It's probably a creatine, it's probably an essential amino acid, and it's probably going to be a protein outside of, your wellness, vitamins, and stuff like that. So I was like, I got to bring this back in. Everybody's going to the blended model right now. I said, I'm going to go WPI. I'm going to go whey protein, WPI 90.
Yep.
I'm going to do that. But I said, you know what? I can't compete with these guys. They're getting better pricing. I put a $200,000 purchase order in before for protein. I moved it really quick. The first one, second one, it didn't move as quick. And then the margins aren't as good. So you got to be very careful. I sell pre-workouts and fat burners. Every 2 to 3 months, I'm out of stock on those things, and I'm rotating. So I got to be careful. So I said, I got to really go to the drawing board here. What do I want to do? How do I want to do this? What can I do to be different? Now, you guys are going to probably, I'm contradicting myself here a little bit, but I also see where the market's going, right? Told you I'm pivoting a little bit. People are willing to buy snacks, with protein in it, and this and that. So we're going to do a whey protein isolate. I just finished the flavoring. I made the guy go back and forth 5 times. The purchase order was so good. I didn't care, dude. The very last one was so close that I was getting it. Like, I'm like, this guy's gonna tell me to go fuck myself soon, you know. And I'm like, I was so close that I was gonna sign off, and I said, you know what? I said, we got to do one more run,
Oh,
whatever it costs.
jeez.
I said, we got to do one more run. I'm like, I said, and I asked them what's going on, the changes they make, so I could kind of speak the language. You know, all right, we got to lower the sucralose a little bit. Protein's already naturally sweet. Hey, if we got to add beta blocker, blah blah blah. So I speak the language with these guys a lot. So I trademarked iso-inclusion. We're going to add authentic inclusions in there
Okay.
from real cookie brands. You know, Chips Ahoy, Oreos, Nutter Butter. Not much, but enough to give it texture. Because isolates are a little bit bland to begin with. So we're doing like a clean protein
Yep.
with a little bit of dirty thing, and I think it's going to be. The packaging doesn't even have Condemn Labs branding on it. I don't even have the logo and Condemned on there. I kept it so gender neutral. The liberals will take it because I'm not trying to. I can't, dude. If they see Condemned, it's just automatically assumed it's for men. It's hardcore. I'm not a jail. I didn't go to jail. So like when you see this label that I'm working on, I mean, it's very different than most people, and I know everybody says I got the best shit. I'm doing the coolest stuff, but I really don't look to the industry for inspiration. I just kind of do what I want to do. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So, got some cool flavors coming out. It's a financial hit. I'll tell you that though.
I give you credit. I mean, Robic tells me, his costs behind the scenes. I hear from other brands behind the scenes. And again, I'm not a brand owner, but that's the one area I would avoid. But good luck, brother.
It could be a flop. You know, I'm willing to take the bumps and bruises. I've taken enough of them. So, but like, I'm gonna go all in on it. But I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna get it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna give it to the competitive bodybuilder who's gonna put it as Ninja Creamy and not post it. I'm gonna give it to the UGC creators, the moms that are fucking home and are gonna crack the thing and put the recipe, take out the inclusions and look at them all excited, make a video that's good, and I'm gonna use that for my marketing and that for my Facebook ads and stuff like that. I gotta go different routes here and try different
Yeah.
things because otherwise, you could have a brand for 10 years, dude, and you could smack that thing into the iceberg. I've had a couple of close calls with Condemn that, put me in some spots where, I didn't know what was going to happen with the brand. So now I'm starting to be very nimble. If something's not working, we dropped Arsonist Burn. We got a
Right.
DMHA fucking fat burning powder. People asked me for a fat burning powder for years. I brought it to market. Dude, it ain't hitting this. It's not hitting. Arsonist does.
Yeah.
Arsonist, I crush it. I can't hold it in stock. I do runs of like 15 to 20,000 at a clip. We just keep boom every quarter, boom, boom, boom. We're getting rid of them. I brought this thing up. Now, mind you, the formula is more stacked than that product because it's a powder. I could put more. I could put more ingredients in there. I can only put so much
Yeah.
ingredients in 2 capsules. It ain't going. It's not moving the same. I'm giving it away to Card Slider. I'm doing it in deals in stores. Maybe I can get some traction. If it doesn't go, dude, I'm becoming emotionally disconnected. I'll cut it.
So, Mike, people that are watching this, when do you plan on launching the protein?
Pallets of protein should be arriving at the manufacturer. They should be doing. They should be arriving this week.
Okay.
I signed off on 3 of them while I was there. Fourth one is kind of back and forth a little bit, and I got
Okay.
some other variations coming out. Probably going to launch 4 flavors. It's going to be soon though. I think we'll have it. If my homegirl Liz knocks out the labels and stays on top of it, she could possibly be the holdup, or she could be the reason it could be ready in 4 weeks.
Okay. Okay.
So
So, guys, we wind down here. Rob, a question for you. What is a behind the scenes nightmare you've dealt with both recently that maybe the average consumer doesn't know about? Anything you'd want to share that was been a nightmare? Flavoring, formulation, cost? I don't know.
Oof.
Because I know Masha's brutal with her flavoring. I know she beats up on the flavor houses, but that's kind of normal, I think, for anybody that's doing a product.
Well, you know what? I think that Mike can probably any brand owner can relate to this. The problem is with pressure. Number one, the market is always changing, and you won't survive the market if you're not able to adapt. I mean, somebody like Optimum Nutrition, they survive everything because that brand doesn't give a shit about us. They just fucking crush it no matter what. That protein, you can shit on it, you can criticize it, you can make fun of it. They probably don't even give a fuck because they just relentless. But us smaller guys, and I mean by smaller, not just us. I mean even somebody like Rise in comparison, or those guys that are not Optimum Nutrition. if you cannot adapt to the changes that the industry is going through or the market is going through, you're not going to be able to survive. And the truth is that I don't think that there is such thing as a bodybuilding brand anymore. I
Yep.
don't think there is such thing as a bodybuilding even gym anymore. I don't think it exists, because right now I think it's for everyone. The good thing is that people are into training, people are into the healthy lifestyle. I mean, it's questionable. Somebody like me and somebody like Mike probably gonna laugh at this, because they fucking making potato chips right now with protein, and candy with protein, and ice cream with protein. I mean, is it really healthy? Is it something that a professional bodybuilder or aspiring bodybuilder would use those products when getting ready for a show? Absolutely not. They wouldn't even fucking look at them. Listen, I have some protein with inclusions. A bodybuilder getting ready for show will never touch those products, no matter what, but the average guy will. And we have to find that, like Mike said, we have to find that balance. We have to find that balance where something like condemned, it's a bad, bad, bad word for a mainstream market. But this is the original brand. This is basically, his baby. And can it cater to an average Joe? Absolutely. It's a lot more challenging.
Yeah.
Apollon Gym is something that average person few years ago would not come anywhere near that place, because that's for juice heads, for bodybuilders, and for fucking criminals. So you have to find a way to get people in there, and it's a challenge. It's a serious, serious challenge. A couple of years ago, hire somebody like a good bodybuilder, like Sean Ray or Lee Priest or whatever, to represent your brand, and you're pretty much good to go. I mean, that's it. That would make you money.
Yep.
Today, you can fucking get Phil Heath to represent your brand. That is not a guarantee of success. And if you don't catch that right away, and if you don't find a way to adapt to the market, that's not going to work. So the challenge is pretty much like you said, it's a daily thing. Right now, Apollon was known as to have some of the worst flavors when it comes to pre-workouts. I mean, we were the kings of shitty tasting pre-workouts. Right now, our pretty much all the flavors that we have, people love them. I mean, protein we always had good, but now
Yep.
we don't have good. Now we have fucking phenomenal. And what I said, I will put our protein against anyone. And I don't want to sound like like Mike said, everybody says I have the best shit on the market. I don't want to say it, but if I had an opportunity, or somebody would want to go head to head and do the blind taste test, I would do it. I would not hesitate. And I'll bet money on ours. But the problem is not that. The problem is when you have something good, now you have to maintain it. It's like fucking winning Mr. Olympia, or it's like winning, a boxing championship. When you become a champion, when you're becoming good, the eyes are on you. You're a fucking target, and you
Yep.
have to maintain that level. So that's a challenge. That's a challenge in itself. Like he said, he has arsonist is a fat burner that is a top seller. So everything that doesn't match or live up to that same level, he will be disappointed, because I would be very, very disappointed. And then you kind of lose your energy, and you lose your drive, and you fucking almost get depressed. Not necessarily that because you're not making as much money as on the other product, but you start to question yourself: am I cut out for this? Am I good enough? Where did I fucking go wrong? And sometimes a very good formula might possibly not be very good, might not be successful. I know that I've done a couple of formulas that I thought were fucking pure genius, but they didn't really hit the spot. I'm sure Mike had that issue as well. I mean, for sure he had. It's just that's the pressure that you have right now. Oh, Masha, she makes great flavors. That's great. Now Masha cannot fuck up. Now we cannot fuck up, and that's a pressure in itself. You know, and in terms of flavors, like Shane came up with a flavor that I told you. To
Yep.
flavor that shit took fucking months. Why? Because it was very, very challenging. So you run into those problems. And then, with tariffs or whatnot, all of a sudden the product that used to cost you $10 now is costing you 14, $15. Not much of a problem when you're selling direct. But when you're selling wholesale, every fucking dollar, every quarter, it counts, and that's becoming a problem. And the manufacturer is not doing to fuck you is not doing it to fuck you over. They basically don't have a choice, but you're the one who has to resolve that puzzle. Because when you go to the customers and you tell them, the product that I just charged you $20, now I have to charge you $25. Right now,
Yep.
with the crazy increase of protein prices, they're absolutely insane. We're talking as much as $8 to $10 more expensive to purchase 2 pounds of protein than it was just a year ago. And guess what? You don't have a choice, but you have to increase your prices. And then people will come to you and say, like, hold on a second, I was paying for this protein X amount of dollars. Now you're ripping me off. And you have to find a way to explain. And that's not very, very easy. So those are the daily challenges that we kind of face probably on a daily basis.
Yeah, yeah.
The market is changing, the ingredients are changing. To deal with trademarks, somebody's going to come to you and going to say, well, you have in your product CDP choline, why don't you have cognizin? And you really want to say, you know what, it's actually exactly the same thing, but you're paying fucking 4 or 5 times more just because it has a little R at the end and it says cognizin and not CDP choline. It's exactly the same thing, providing exactly the same thing. you
Yep.
know Marina owns a pharmacy. uh, Fucking Viagra is going to cost you X amount of money. Generic is going to cost you fucking 10 times less. It
Yep.
does exactly the same. Exactly the same. It's exactly the same product. So those are the daily challenges where you have to explain to people the difference in cost and, different ingredients, different formulas, and you're putting pressure on yourself to deliver daily because, being 10 years in the game or 11 years in the game, you have to stay relevant. In the last decade that I've been in this game, I've seen companies come and go, like
Oh yeah.
literally come and go. So to survive that, I have Hooligan, which is legendary pre-workout by now, and Mike has Arsonist that everybody also knows the name. So to have those products still kicking ass, that's pressure
That's something.
because
Yeah.
yeah, we have to sustain that level, and that's not easy.
Yeah. So Mike, as we wind down here, question for you, because Robert and I have been very verbal about this. Sometimes we're in our own bubble. What are your thoughts on a lot of these companies using the peptides game? But again, not the BPCs, the Redders, the protein peptides and the amino peptides. I mean, what are your thoughts? Have you gone down the rabbit hole?
Shit.
Yeah. Listen, I see what's going on in the market, man. And that's another reason some of my weight loss categories taking a hit. The actual peptides outside of the supplemental peptides, right? That's also hurting the market right now too, because any mom, like I see moms on social media with 15 peptides lined up on the table, just banging themselves. Like nobody's scared to take a shot anymore. It's
Yep.
open. Everybody's selling. It's so crazy, but they're skipping steps and they're missing some of the foundational stuff. As far as the peptides and supplements, it's still a little bit new to me. I do see them in skin creams and stuff like that. I do think that the peptide hype is there outside, and so people are starting to use it now in everything. As far as like collagen peptide, anytime you got a short chain amino acid and stuff like that, and a combination of things, and you're trying to interject them, if they, I don't see them hurting, but I see them looking like right now that they're capitalizing on a marketing ploy more than anything, and just running with the name. And to be honest, I'm not putting anything peptide in my shit because I'm not getting my social media shut down. I'm not. They're flagging accounts that I had 2 athletes lose their pages permanently, and it hurts. It hurt like the relationship with their promotion. I don't know, man. I'm torn on it. I did see some trademark holders popping up with some different peptides. Saw people putting it in protein and stuff like that, and I'm like, I'm still very new to it. I was looking. I'll poke around. I'll check it out. But like I said earlier, I don't really jump on the hype trains. If I could listen, if this was this was about 7.5 years ago. You can get away with bringing something to market, and then you would bring it out, you would push it, and then somebody could chase your tail, and try to catch you. Now you really can't bring many new things to market without them being approved. It's very hard to do that. That's why we're all in the same fishbowl, kind of just working with the same ingredients. How many times do you see the formulas? X amount of citrulline, X amount of beta-alanine, betaine anhydrous, tyrosine. It's the same formula. So I think going forward, 2026, 2027, and the thing that I put a tremendous amount of effort is actually branding. I'm on the brand building side now. My athletes that I have on my team now, they tell a story. These guys have been through something. They've been through adversity. They struggled through hardship. Some of these guys struggled with addiction. Some of these guys were really down mentally. Some of these guys did prison sentences. And the common denominator with the Condemn Labs team now is they've all found the gym as this nucleus and this hub to kind of radiate a positive lifestyle out of it. And a lot of the guys on my team now, man, they got really compelling stories. I get emotional when I hear some of their stories too, because some of these kids have really hit rock bottom. They've done something. And like when I just did that situation with the polished athletes and bodybuilders, I mean, they're so vanilla and boring, and there's There's no personality there besides I pick things up and put it down. And I think going forward, man, I'm going to find more people with the story. I don't care if you have 100,000 followers.
Yeah.
Nobody who has 100,000 followers that's ever been with my brand has sold for me. I've had guys that have 5,000, 10,000 followers do damage. It's about the brand story. It's about the trust they build with their audience. It's about the way they conduct themselves, carry themselves, and represent the brand. But I think that storytelling piece, Condemn Labs going through something hard, coming out transformed, fits more with people who have been through something hard, use fitness, and come out changed. And that's kind of the way I'm running with it now. Convict, kill your next workout. Dude, that was 2017. It don't work no more. Somebody, I got pictures when I was in a jail with a jumpsuit, holding a shank behind my back with a bottle of Convict. That was how I was promoting the brand. And it wasn't about being an inmate. It was just like the marketing tactics to get the attention that I knew people wouldn't go. So I think that we're going to be working on a lot more branding and a lot more storytelling outside of this stuff. But I mean, as far as the peptides and stuff like that, there's a lot of gimmicky things that are going to come. I've seen Robert's been around 10 years, dude. That's one thing, Rob. I had to stop you. I wanted to stop you when you're talking. I wrote down, dude, when you talked about your pre-workout flavor, and I've heard this before that you've had trouble flavoring the pre-workout. You also overload your formulas, dude, and you put a lot of ingredients. We come from an era where like, yo, is it good? It has the good stuff in it. I'm not holding my nose. I'm pounding it. My dad gave me, I forget which it was. It was not Muscle Milk. It was one of the metrics back when I was like 16 years old going to Dolphin Gym. Dude, he watched me pound this thing. And he was like, I didn't make a facial expression. He's like, oh, we're going to have a problem here. I remember telling my mom. We came from that era. I was looking at Ronnie Coleman's back this wide on a Flex magazine. That's what, Jay Cutler. These are the people I grew up on and I wanted to be. So like, Robert, you got to give yourself a little bit of credit, man. One thing that we're not giving ourselves credit. One thing you said, I've seen brands pop up and my sales reps are always like, oh, look what they're doing over there. I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. Let's see what 6 months, 12 months. I swear to God, dude, they're out all the time. When I came back to NutriCap on my second run, I pulled up in an I-8, pulled up to Wes. He's like, oh, you're back. And I didn't know what that meant. I felt like a kid looking up at him, and he was like, you're back. I was like, what does that mean? I told my partner, Richie, God rest his soul. And he's like, well, a lot of guys might come in and think they're going to take over the industry. We get one purchase order out of them, and we never hear from them again. He's like, not that they leave us. He's like, they think they're going to crack the code. And this is 17, 18, so it's like, we've been around 10 years, Rob, but you see trends come and go. We've seen crazy economic shit. I think the biggest thing, I didn't get to answer your question, Sean, and I don't know how much time you guys have, but I'm dialed for this. But
go for it.
When you mentioned the nightmare, I think the nightmare that we're dealing with, I mean, when is there not a nightmare? Business, if you ever read Nike Shoe Dog, business is war without bullets, man. It is fucking ugly. I've had more problems, and I'm going to be honest, like I'm not here to bullshit anybody. The last 2 years have been the hardest 2 years of my life. I've taken on more responsibility at home. I got 2 little ones, 2 under 2. The economy is not in a good spot. People are looking at what they're spending right now. They're holding on. Me and my wife, we're not going out to dinner, blowing like we were blowing. Everybody, I'm looking at my portfolios. I'm checking my grocery bill when I go to and I'm doing okay. I'm not doing phenomenal. I'm doing okay.
Of course.
But I think that economic constraint going on for so long, and I could date it back to when Trump got in, and I voted for Trump. But I don't want to get into politics like that. But when he tickled the tariffs, my international took a shit. They just took a shit. The tariff thing coming up January, and then now this war thing going on. My biggest territories, overseas are going to be Iran. It's going to be India, and it's going to be the UAE and some Pakistan. That's where I move the biggest volume, and that thing has been crippled. It's been crippled for 6 months. So between that, the rising cost of inflation, political uncertainty, and oversaturation in the market. When I used to sell my brand in 2016, 17, 18, not everybody had a brand. My international guys have brands. My stores have brands. My athletes are starting brands. Everybody has a brand. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry has a brand. So, they're not doing damage. They go out of business, but they steal market share for a little bit. They make a stir. They come out and spray their Uzi against the wall the first couple of months with money, and they see what they can do marketing-wise. They temporarily, maybe I don't get as many pre-workout orders that month, and then 6 months later, they realize, oh shit, this is harder. But it's constantly, like Robert said, staying relevant in times like this, and I'll tell you, if you're not on the gas, you can't sit comfortably. You can't relax. If you're not on the content game, if you're not putting yourself out there, if you're not dropping new formulas, if you're not dropping new flavors, how do you stay in business for 10 years? Robert and I have done a great job figuring it out. Obviously, we're both not broke and going out of business, which like a lot of these other companies you hear when they come up too fast, they go. But I think that lately it's been extracting dollars from the customer, trying to find where to put the best marketing dollars. Athletes and influencers aren't selling anymore. It's not, nobody wants to buy shit. If you put up something right now to me and you did a crazy transformation, I'm swiping, I'm not gonna buy shit, dude. I'm getting tired of fucking getting sold, And
Yeah.
so are customers. And if you're a consumer of supplements and you had a budget towards, what do you say to Rob? What do you say a consumer's budget at the end of the month is, dude? Like to spend on supplements. What do they have left over after everything's said and done?
Oh, there's
100
pretty
bucks?
much nothing. I mean, for an average guy to spend money on supplements,
I mean,
I mean, and especially it's very, very competitive. There is not much money, and especially the way the economy right now, the way, even if you're making money, I mean, considering the gas prices and everything else, obviously the cost of living is is rising. So, I mean, you're obviously going to buy the necessities, and especially people have families, people have kids. 'Cause it's not that easy.
yeah,
And when you have like shitload of products on the market and a lot to choose from, I mean, it's literally right now the survival of the fittest.
yeah. I
Say
think
100 bucks? 100 bucks, Mike?
Maybe.
I would say about 150 bucks if
Okay.
I had to guess. So now, how much is a 5-pound bucket of protein, dude?
Oh, it's pretty much, yeah,
Yeah.
120 pounds.
How much,
$120, yeah.
how much is a decent pre-workout? Let's say I'm not the top tier guy. I'm going for the $40 pre-workout. All right, I'm going to Amazon my multivitamin. I'm going to buy the basic creatine because I can get it with my toothpaste, my socks, and my underwear on Amazon next day. So like to get people to come to your website and shop exclusively with you right now, dude, it's tough. It's fucking tough. It's tougher than it's ever been. And like, I think the problem I'm having now is I don't have anybody above me, and I'm limited. I'm in a weird bracket where I can't afford hiring all these employees. I'm still wearing a lot of hats. Most of my teammates are wearing a lot of hats. So you're in this situation where it's like, well, how do I grow? How do I scale? And then the uncertainty of like, well, where do I put the dollars? Now I've stepped a little too far to the right before, spent money, lost it. I'm like, okay, now I'm going this way a little bit, spent money, lost it. So I'm trying to find, the best course of direction to hit as many pins possible. But even the Facebook ads, we were running Facebook ads pretty heavy at one point. I was spending like 70 grand a month. I was getting a 3x return. That ain't happening anymore, dude. That ain't happening. I've went through 3 marketing teams in the last 3 years. They all got the sauce. They don't have the sauce. Then I'm like, well, is it the brand? And then I'm like, well, I got my wholesale business to compare against. My wholesale business has stores in between, and I sell to the same customer that buys from my website. The same customers that buy from my website, the same ones going to the stores. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, well, I don't know what the next steps are. Everybody's, run to TikTok. That's getting saturated too. And then the rising costs on there are coming up too. My brand's not Amazon friendly. I got some SKUs on there. So it's like, well, how do you get on multi-channels so that you could be easily accessible? I would have to do some major pivoting for a GNC and Vitamin Shop play, which I don't know if my brand would be able to sustain that because of what we're known for. And so I think for me as a founder, entrepreneur, and operator, the hardest thing for me is like navigating the ship while still keeping the vision intact and keeping things exciting and not taking too long to figure it out in the meantime and losing too much along the way.
You're not in uncharted waters, though, Mike. I know everyone's got these problems.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I'm saying it openly. A lot of them play the social media game, dude. I know what's going on out here. I have a good idea what's going on. I see what's happening. I'm not scared to say it because I'm pretty transparent for the most part. I don't mind making myself vulnerable a little bit. It's definitely not as easy right now. It's not as easy. I'm fighting tooth and nail, doing double the amount of work for close to the same amount of dollars I was doing 2 years ago.
Well, it's not to beat the dead horse, but like you said earlier, anybody that's got $5,000 can drop a SKU nowadays. Any Tom, Dick, and Harry, because manufacturers are now doing 150, 200 run SKUs.
Yeah.
Where other places used to be 1,000, 1,500.
It was always 1,000 to 1,500. When I got in, I was the biggest kid. And then they don't realize something. There's a big thing for people in the industry when they get in. You think you're going to sell your 1,000 units, recoup your money, and go back in. No.
Yep.
You got to wait till you're halfway through that and hope that you don't have a burst of volatility. And then you got to put your deposit down. So you're high-fiving your money. You don't ever see it. You get a sliver off the top. It's always going to the manufacturer to get the next run,
Yep. So, guys, we wind down, Mike. What's the rest of this year look like? I don't know if you want to give any teasers on, obviously you're focusing to shift the brand a little bit, but any products you want to announce or any teasers? Obviously, you mentioned protein, but Anything else?
Yeah, we got. I mean, so we got a couple of flavors of convict coming out. We always do our social sale. We're a little behind on the drops this year. We usually do about 4 a year. That's like our, that's the next level above convict. And I don't
Yep.
keep that in stock. It's I run 5,000 units, whop it out. 90% of it sold before it even comes. And I try to have a lot of fun with those labels and those themes. The protein's a big hit for me right now. I am adding a couple more wellness SKUs in there. I really would like to come out with a budget-friendly pre-workout because, my buddy Dom, he had a long conversation with me probably a year ago. Dom owns Raw. Shout out to him. He takes some time and spends some time with me and gives me some consulting. He's like, Mike, you're like a premium hardcore brand, dude. He's like, the customer that's shopping for like a $35 pre ain't buying no $50, $60 pre. And he's like, you're missing an entire market. And I'm like,
Yeah.
really? Why would I want to sell something a little bit downgraded? He said, you're missing an entire market. So I said, you know what? Maybe this year we're going to try to come with something that, we'll try to get creative. We're not going to, we'll make it cool. We'll make it good. But I think I would like to work on some of those things. As far as innovation goes, I mean, I'm rebranding a couple of SKUs. Lockdown is going to transform to Kriya size. I just got the trademark for that. So we're neutralizing some of the names. There's a new version of DNA Dispatch coming out. The protein, like I said, is going to be a big one. I think it's going to complete the line again. Hopefully it goes well and it's not a complete financial scolding, which it can be. But I mean, yeah, as far as that, man, I got a couple things. I'm doing more in-person meetups though. Like we got a big event
Right.
happening July 25th. Not to steal the show and plug myself in. I got like
Go
200
for it.
guys coming to Vegas, and they're gonna like I got guest speakers. I brought other supplement vendors in there, and we're gonna try to bring a bunch of group of people. I got guys that coach coaches, so like it's just a group of like entrepreneurial fitness people, not polished athletes. These guys are like just they're on the social media game and they just all trying to help each other out. We're trying to build a little bit more community and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
If you want, man, I don't know if you have sample packets, but if you could spare 150 sample packets, I'll put them in every single bag that goes out to the first 150 people. It's a direct, it's not some shit that's going to go on a table where people take it and run. Like I'm giving it to people, they're going to try the product and they'll if they like it, they'll come. So.
Well, Robert, I know we got a lot of hype around Bare Knuckle coming out soon enough, and then Marina's got something very, very top secret dropping. But I know those are the two big next things for Apollon.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much in the next month or two, and then I mean we have the new hooligan coming up. I think we were supposed to get it in August, but because of the scheduling conflict, it's not the manufacturer, it's us. We decided to bump it up to September, and kind of like squeeze a couple of health products as well in between. So also, like Mike said, we're not gonna go as aggressive as last year in terms of releases. We just focus more on on quality rather than quantity, and kind of go with that.
Yep.
But what he said, I applaud him for that. And he was very, very honest, and rightfully emotional about the fact that it's not easy for everyone right now, because right now it's definitely a battle, and like I said, survival of the fittest, because the challenges that we have right now, mostly economical, and obviously all the shit that's going in a country and as well international, which is affecting us. It's not easy, and we have to. There are so many different channels where you can sell your products. Whether you go wholesale, if you go aggressively wholesale, then obviously you're losing the margins, and you need more volume and stuff like that. So that's gonna end up costing you money, and especially smaller brands that don't have investors and rich partners, and we run everything ourselves. Before we run out of stock, we already have to purchase even more product. So at the end of the day, it's like a vicious circle where we basically, barely have money to survive. People think that we are, swimming in money. And, that's the reason why I get so pissed when you have these athletes coming in and just give me, give me, give me without, giving back to the brand. And
Yep.
basically trying to milk the shit out of you, not realizing how hard it is. And, in terms of bodybuilding, back in the day when you did have bodybuilders that were selling your product, I think they were a little bit more professional. I think they were a little bit better, a little bit classier. Today, you have a guy coming in, and the first question he's going to ask you, well, how much am I getting? And and it's okay, I guess. But the problem is that if I come work for you and say, for example, I want $5,000, I come to work for you. You're a business. You have expenses. You have marketing money. You have to spend on products. You have to spend on employees, on your rent, on your warehouses, packaging, graphic designing. All that is costing you money. So if you pay me $5,000, and then you have all those other expenses, but you also have a family that you have to provide for, and you are the business owner. The whole point of you being entrepreneur and trying to make money is to grow. So the thing is like, why should you give me 5,000? You should give me 5,000 if I can bring you 20,000, because out of those 20,000, 5,000 is going to go to me. We are
Yep.
not partners. I'm your employee. We are not partners. So it shouldn't be 5,000 for me, 5,000 for you. You should be making a little bit more than me. And I think they fail to understand that concept. And they don't even try to understand that concept because they don't know what it's like. They don't know
Yep.
what it's like to start your own business, to put your heart and soul, your savings, your everything into it. And there are no guarantees in life. So you don't even know if it's going to take off or not. And it's costing you so much time and money and effort. And, literally you bleeding for your company because it's like your baby. You're protecting it. And then somebody comes to you and goes, well, you know what? I'm a top 10 at the Olympia. And what? Okay, you're top 10 at the Olympia, and I'm giving you X amount of money. I'm giving you free supplements, which are not free for me. I'm giving you free T-shirts, which are not free for me. I'm helping to support you when you go and compete, which is also not free for me. All that is costing me money to give you, so you could post 2 or 3 times a week if I'm lucky. And
Yep.
would you post something in your stories? And then at the end of the day, I'm giving you, say, since I'm using $5,000, let's say $5,000 I'm spending on you. It can be two, it can be $500, it
Yep.
can be $10. But if I'm giving you $10, you should bring me back 50. You
Yeah.
should
Yeah.
make an effort. And guess what? If you bring me back 200, that $10 is going to be $20 or $30. The more you bring me and the more valuable you become, the more I'm going to, reward you. And if I don't reward you, yeah, by all means, you can walk away, or you can tell me, fuck you, motherfucker. You're not appreciating me. And then you're right. I mean, just today, it's funny, we should talk about this. I got a report. I've seen. I usually don't pay attention to it. That goes to Marina. She handles that, and Carolina. And I saw the report of some of the ambassadors that we are paying. And I saw at least a few of them that we are clearly losing money.
Yep.
Clearly, we are losing money. We're giving them more. Some of them are IFBB pros, and some of them are accomplished athletes, and some of them have 150, 200,000 followers on Instagram, and we are literally losing money. So I'm sorry to say this, but whether you have first place at the Olympia, or you're a fucking world boxing champion, or you have a PhD, if I'm losing money supporting you or sponsoring you, then what do you provide for the brand?
Yep.
Just because you have a name, what does it give me? It gives me absolutely nothing. If you're not promoting, if you're not doing it in good faith, if you're not actually being responsible, if you actually give a shit. And there are other cases. There are athletes that actually will work for you, and they represent your brand, but all of a sudden you see them posting a photo fucking with products from other companies right on their fucking table, right on their table, and they posting it on social media. Listen, I have products from other companies. I have, supplements from other company, or vitamins or something like that. I use them. I don't post them. The reason
Yep.
why I don't post them, because I'm going to worry about my brand. I mean, if I see Mike or I see somebody that I respect, I'm gonna hold his product or something like that, I'll gladly give him a plug. That's gonna be more of a friendship thing. But you're a paid athlete, you're a sponsored athlete, and then you're putting, I never understood that. I see on Apollo Nutrition sometimes a tag, which means they want us to fucking repost, and they will put a product of Apollo Nutrition and then a ghost, or optimal nutrition with a product that we have. We have that product. What the fuck do you want me to do? You want me literally on Robic's Instagram or Apollo Nutrition Instagram? You want me to repost? Sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes it's gonna be Apollo, I don't know, pre-workout, and there's gonna be a protein from this company and a multivitamin from this company, and there's like a 4 or 5 different companies. Stores will do it too. Stores will fucking tag you with fucking 5 other brands. What do you want me to do? You want me to repost and advertise for others? I'm not hating on them, but we are promoting our
Of
brand. I'm
course.
not shitting on anyone. I'm not hating on anyone. But as a sponsored athlete, why the fuck do you do it? Do you use your brain? I'm not. There is no contract that says you're not allowed to use other supplements. Use them by all means. I don't give a fuck. But the thing is like they're not
Respect.
sponsoring you. We are sponsoring you. We had an athlete that literally would she would post Paul nutrition product with C-bomb or rice, and she would basically promote them because she would have 200,000 or 300,000 followers. She's literally like, oh, use this, tastes great. I'm not disputing it. It probably does. God bless them. I wish them nothing but the best. But they not sponsoring you. You work for us. You work
Yep.
for us. You work. So that's the concept that I literally don't understand. And speaking of challenges and daily shit, I'm pretty sure Mike is dealing with that shit too, all the time. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like Mike, and you probably get this. Like Robic laughs because he shares me some of his things. He'll get a DM, "Yo, bro, I just won the nationals. Can you sponsor me?" And of course, Robic's like, "Well, what have you tried?" "Well, nothing yet."
Yeah. Man, dude,
Oh no, I have sometimes people will DM me directly. I like the fact that I am 51, and I will get a fucking text, not a text message, a DM from a guy who is young enough to be my son, and he will address me, yo man. I'm like, the fuck? You're like, what did you fucking call? I don't even know you. If I said yo man or something like that when I was younger to a person who is older than me, guaranteed my mom would fucking smack me. She would be like, I didn't raise you to be like that. What the fuck is respect? We would be on a fucking bus or a train or something like that. An older person walks in, we get up and we offer them a seat. And we just brought up differently. But this guy is fucking sending me a message. He has like 150 followers, and he goes, "Yo, man, would you sponsor me?" Who the fuck are you? And how dare you address me like that? I mean, the fuck?
I'm sure you get some of those, Mike. You gotta have some funny ones you gotta laugh at.
I got one. Yeah, I mean, they're in the DM box. Every once in a while, I go into that little side box, dude, and it's just like, holy shit, I'm like a homeless shelter here for these people, dude. I don't know what it is. I'm running a charity. You know what? I don't want this to be like a bashing thing with the athletes because I came across some really good people that were genuine, and then when the ships have sailed, the ships have sailed. But I think that market's also just not as easy. So
Yeah.
I think some of the big guys aren't even sell like it's for as far as selling. I look for these guys. Robert was saying, hey, I want to make money off you. I'm almost like, hey, dude, just break me even and get me in front of your people and give me the marketing assets that I need that you're obligated to create and put a little creativity behind it. That's the other thing.
Yep.
Two things I don't like lying, man. I don't like lazy. I can't. There's a couple things that I just like non-negotiable with. I'll tell you that market's tough right now, and I've given that rollout to other people to kind of run and take over. And I feel bad because I kind of set each of them up for failure because it's not easy. It's very hard to manage a big group of guys. I read a lot of military books. I read a lot of football coaching books and stuff like that. So, running a big group like that, dude, if you don't have the systems in place, and, that's probably where I'm heading with my last question about like what we're doing 2026, 27. We're not really looking to go extremely wide, man. I think right now I've shown that I can work hard. I proved to everybody that I'm a hustler. I came out of the streets of Brooklyn. I'm not bragging about it. It's just mom and dad didn't have it. We had to figure out how to go get it. You know what I'm saying? So I think the next 5 years of the brand is going to be a little bit different where I get some systems in place, a lot more structure, organization, have it like a well-oiled machine. Ronnie Fig from Kith said it best. He said, not everything's meant to be scalable. And then I realized every time I go to scale condemn to that very next like tier, that's going to be it. If I just can make this money, if I could just bring the brand to this level, it's going to, dude, it's a hardcore brand. I'm catering to a niche audience. That might not, that's fading. Maybe it's just better being a little bit smaller, connecting with my audience, just getting in front of them with more exciting things on and off. And, maybe I don't have to be 10, 20, $30 million brand, and maybe I could have fun with it. I want to get back to having fun with it though. That's what I really miss. So I think systems in place, strategy, better communication tools, better follow-up tools, and I think that's going to be like where we're going, soon, just to make things easier. I want to spend more time with my kids, my family. See me working all the time. They don't understand. I miss things sometimes, and I feel bad about it. And what am I going to do? It's a podcast. It's 8:30. I'm here talking with you guys, which I'm having a great time. But after that, I got to go play dad for a little bit, and then I got international guys that start poking me like, they don't care what time it is in the U.S. So I stay busy. Thank God I have Mike Kalchuk. He's a superstar on the team. My sales rep, he's pretty buttoned up and polished. He keeps me a little bit more organized and structured. But yeah, I think going forward, that's kind of where I'm at with the brand. Just looking for the next cool thing to do. Working with good people is really important for me right now.
So,
You
Mike,
know
I tell
what?
Robert.
Just one thing I'm going to
Go ahead,
add.
Myra.
You know what? Because I said that, with the bad side of, athletes and stuff like that. But on the other hand, we have somebody like Corey Anderson, who's fucking phenomenal, even though he's, a well known champion. But you know what? We just signed somebody who is, his name is Danny Alcantara, and he's a coach. He's a great guy. I mean, I didn't know him, but I talked to him like once or twice on the phone. I was absolutely shocked. Like, that's a guy that shocked me because he. We got on a call, and obviously we were talking about the details and stuff like that. Uh, to me, I mean, I don't know him. I met him through a friend, and we started talking about the financials and stuff like that. And let me tell you this: he goes to me, you know what? I don't want much. He says, what I want to do is I want to show you what I'm capable of. I'm like, excuse me?
Damn.
I'm not used to this.
Yeah.
He goes to me, no, he says, let me show you. He says, I can talk. He says, but let me show you what I can do. He says, let me work for it and let me earn it and let me just show you what I can do. I was like, you know what? There is a light, at the end of the tunnel. There is definitely hope. So, obviously there are a lot of challenges, and obviously there is a lot of negatives, but there is some positive. I mean, at the end of the day, and I think this is the way, probably the perfect way to finish the podcast. you know I'm still standing. Mike is still standing. We still, trying to be better. We're still trying to grow. We're still figuring things out, and we're trying to make better brands. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what matters: the fact that we're still standing and we're still moving forward, as challenging as it is.
Yep. So I'll just end on this. So, Mike, as I told Robic, this Robic's a machine, okay? And I'm not sharing anything confidential here. You're not sleeping the best, Robic, let's be honest. And sometimes he's DMing me at 2, 3 in the morning. And I said, listen, he's got a daughter. I've got 2 kids as well. Mike, you've got 2 little ones. Mike, Rob and I have older ones. You drop dead tomorrow, and I hate to say this, Mike, you drop dead tomorrow, your customers aren't gonna give a fuck. Who's gonna remember you? Who's gonna hit the most? Your family and your closest friends. So in saying that, remember, take time for your family, your wife, your kids, because at the end of the day, your customer's not gonna worry about you.
Yeah, I agree, man.
Perfect.
I got,
Perfect. Well said. Thank you. And perfect ending of the show.
yeah, for sure, dude.
So Mike, where can people give us your social media, website? We'll kind of end it on that note.
Yeah, Rob.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah.
Obviously, Condemn Labs with a Z. That's going to be the main hub. Michael Nicholas 718. Yeah, that's going to be my personal. And yeah, you guys know the website, condemnlabs.com. We've been around for a little while. I appreciate you guys allowing us on the show and letting us plug your brands and stuff like that.
Yeah, Mike, it's been a pleasure, and we look forward to having you back again. And for everybody watching, make sure you like and subscribe. If you got questions, you got a great team to go to. Thanks so much, and have a good night.